Let's start. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Francis. Welcome, Astrid, Claudia. Welcome. I know there is a few more people coming in. We're going to start off with the mindset. And today, I decided to call this call, stop wasting your life away, because I keep seeing on and on, this kind of like mentality pretty much all over the place. And sometimes I just hear something that, while I'm eating, I'm hearing a lot of motivational speech, and something that I heard really made sense to me. And it's like, that's true. There is, especially now as we move forward in this era of technology and this ability to have more information than ever, we're blinded from the fact that we have the information, but we want to kind of like know more of the same information or present it in a different way, hoping that it's going to move us, right? Realistically, is that if you hadn't moved from something, chances are you're not really going to be moved from, the secret isn't from something that you haven't yet discovered. And again, this is quite remarkable to understand. Now, I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to use my life experience because I really wanted to find a way to really get to you into this and see what can we change, if we even can. But realistically, is that one thing we don't have more of is time, and is the currency that, in my opinion, is most important. Yet is the least, or one of the least, from people that people don't really understand this, and it's unfortunate because I go back in time and it's like one thing I remember when I was a kid, I used to ask my mom all the time. It's like, when I realized, maybe I was like 2, 3 years old, something like that. I realized, when you can first speak, I realized people die, right? The people dies, right? And it's like, I said to her all the time, it's like, but this is not really going to happen to us, right? Like, we don't really die. Like, it's going to happen to her, but not to us, right? And from the kindness of her heart, she always said, no, that's true. It's like, us doesn't happen to us, me and you, but it happens, for. And then I was like, oh, what about my cousin? He's gonna die or whatever. And the funny part is that everybody's so scared to die, but realistically, it's like, when you get to that place, hopefully, I can only not wish anybody to get there. Like, but you want to be most. I think the best way is like, you either don't suffer, or you don't really remember, or let's say if you get into a point to not really remember anything, but you're just there. At least, like, I think the worst is like when you suffer, when you don't have your health, when you kind of like realize that you don't have quality anymore. And when you get there, I can almost ensure you, because I did speak to people, unfortunately, that they were about to die, and terminal and stuff like that. When you get there, nobody really asks themselves, how much money do I have, or how much, like the thing that you remember all the time is like, what is it that I wish I took more risk. I wish I had more happiness. I wish I had more quality of life. I wish I had more time. This is basically what it is. And why am I saying to you this? And I'm so happy to see you all here, because you're all part of the beta test. And see, that's what it takes for one. And we go on tangent, but this is like, it's cool to see you all here. Actually, pretty cool. Okay. Now, when you get there, and again, I hope that if it's gonna be out of aging, meaning like you get age, maybe you remember, you still understand that the head is still there, you can remember this call. Like, you can, like, hopefully as more further than we can, that when we age, and it's like, it was right. Like, we wish we had more time. So whenever you say to yourself, I had a bad day, and this has happened all the time, because it happens to me. Certainly, I did it in the past. I cannot wait for today to be over, or I cannot wait for this week to pass. Maybe there is something common, and it's like, what you saying to yourself really? It's like, there is no way you can improve this day, and you just wait more day to go, right? And then it's like, that time you're not gonna have back, even if it's bad. Of course, the best way to see it is like, how can we instead frame something, even if it's not the best possible outcome, how can we make it better, right? Another thing that I see all the time is like, you have a project, and it's like, whether it's for the job, whether it's for the family or whatever, and you're like, I'm gonna do this thing later. You almost like, and I have something here like a notebook with all that is like, I have 1,000 of this project. I'm gonna do it later. But my problem is I don't do it now because I'm kind of overwhelmed, not because I'm like saying to myself, I'm gonna do it later. There is literally people, it's like, I'm gonna start this, right? Like this is the example. I want to get in shape, but I'm going to start after the summer because in summer I'm going to go to vacation. What you're really saying to yourself is like, you're not really building a lifestyle. You just want to just have hold up something, your happiness. And for a lot of people, it's just like that. It's just like you're really holding up from being happy. And one of the classical example, I spoke to somebody the other day, and this is kind of like the last example I'm using for this, is like, you are in pain, and this person was like with diabetes, apparently. And she said, oh yeah, I'm scared that if I go on this way, I need to do something for sure. I'm scared I'm gonna go off this way. And then we get to the end of the call, and it's like, okay, this is the option we have, something that all of you went through, more or less. And it's like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. And so we find there is three things, and I keep saying it, is like three things that determine somebody moving forward, like finance. So it's like, if we make something make sense to you, right? Then obviously you can move forward if you can. There is the method. It's like, if you, and this is why it's just, we don't just give a link to people. It's like, come into my program, because it's like, unless it's not something that doesn't require my attention, we need to like each other. We need to be able, I need to know that I can help you. And the third is one, the third one is like, when you're really not ready, when there is all the people that you see succeeding in here before and after, it's like they make decisions. They said, if what I hear in the phone makes sense, then I'm gonna move forward. I'm gonna make something work. I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna, even if it's not perfect, I'm gonna try to make it work. This is what it takes. 99% of 99, no, but like at least 90% lately that I see people in general, in life, in business, in friendships, in relationships, in like stuff that they don't commit. And it's like, if this doesn't work, I have plan B. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna try something else. That's, ladies, that's not a problem of strategy. This is a problem of mindset. Like, you do not frame yourself to win. Like, you just give yourself an out. That's a choice. I can do this or I can do that. When it's a decision, you do something, like you just commit to your success. And you're gonna commit whether it's with us, without us, and whenever I hear that, I have no sympathy for those people. I say it's like, I cannot help you. Our policy is like, you don't reapply in the next year, because one thing for sure, in 1 year from now, you're like ready. You're either ready, or you're gonna have found you're either gonna have found another solution, which is great, or you're finally gonna be in such a pain, because if you don't realize that diabetes is like life-threatening, and you've been 3 years like that, and you are in pain, and you are uncomfortable, and your marriage is in jeopardy, you don't realize that that's worse than pulling a trigger to finally get happy and ready, even if you have to do some work. I cannot help you as a coach, because I cannot come and drag your ass out of the bed and make you do the work. You have to do it. So today I said in this, and I didn't want to make it long, I want to identify what are the three components or three areas of the components that I can give you a framework with. And we're going to start with, there is only like physical and mind, right? But physical, in my opinion, has two. And the one thing is like, and I want to get this with all the love in the world, like if whoever sees this replay, there are, whenever it comes physical, and I know some of you are gonna think that this is mental, but it's not really mental. It's still physical. Like, we have stuff like ADHD, depression. We have stuff like, you know, anything that has to do with these areas, right? Like mostly like attention deficit disorder, suicidal depression, alcoholism, and all that stuff. Like, those things get help. It doesn't make any sense for you to Google shit. Like, just go and get help. Like, whether you believe in psychology, whether you believe on psychologists or doctors, whatever, like, get help. Another thing that we see often is whenever you have signs and symptoms that cannot be clinically diagnosed, which is called MUS, medical unexplained symptoms, get help as well. Like, whether it means to go and get MRIs, whatever, like, whenever you have symptoms that they cannot be clinically addressed, from an aspect online. I can help you unfold when we get the information, but is also something like that. That's what we do. All of you in the beta test, you're gonna see is like the one thing that we deal with is BIA testing, if you go and get it, if you need it. Blood labs, if you go and get it, if you need it. But those things are in field, and it's like the blood usually you're kind of late when you have something in the blood. It's like late, it's already something going on. And when the BIA is like, it's hard to find, but if we're able to find and get it from my doctor to be diagnosed, not doctor, from my colleague to be checked, then it makes sense. But anything else, we got you covered. If you have autoimmune disease, if you get like the health, the physical part, I feel like we're doing a very good job on that. But if you have anything like depression, whatever, something like that, go and get help. Like there is no sense of Googling stuff. And I see this all the time. Now the trend is like going and it's like, oh, I think I can fix my depression. Oh, that an idiot on Instagram, like, which I'm not gonna name, is like they saying, oh, the depression is just because you eat too much sugar. Bullshit. Like that's not like that. It could be some factor about it, but like there is a lot of things going on. And like if that's the case, if you get something that is tough, go get help. Now, and again, side tangent, but that's kind of like the physical, right? The physical, anything else is easy for us to do. Like we know how to play around with the macros, the calories. We know all the framework when you are menopause versus insulin resistant, all the timing of the food and all that. And this is why we were able, we just have somebody recently today that she just renewed, and she's like crazy. Like we just tweak a few things and now she's losing weight, eating like 20-30% more food, right? Which is very unusual to see. Of course, the next part is what we hear today, the mind framework, and it's really simple. And I'm really gonna talk about what is it that the only thing that makes sense to not waste more time and really not wasting life away. Number one, you need to have a commitment of what you want to do. I keep saying it. Like, it's not as simple as seeing other people succeeding and saying, I'm going to succeed too. No, you need to commit, and it needs to be important. If you cannot get to why is it important, maybe it's not the right time. If you don't get why, a layer deeper, and this is why we also put, identity post. We also put, we keep making this like that. You need to be committed, because the only thing is like, if you don't know why you're doing it, it's not important really, right? Secondly, and this is why I keep seeing it again, is focus. Like it's not about having no energy. It's not about having no time. It's the focus that is lacking. And what I mean by that is like, most of the time we don't really implement our time efficiently, and it's because we don't plan. So whether it's a plan of nutrition, and when you have to go to the gym, or you're going to work out from the house, or you're going to have to cook or meal prep, like meal prep versus cooking every single time, and we use some example. I see Francis here, we have this conversation. It's also possible to have, three same kind of, let's say one or two similar breakfast, and then you go and, you cook every single time, like on the dinner. So like strategically, you just need to plan. And this this is on every course I have. We have mindset call about it. I still struggle seeing people posting their Google plan, meaning like the Google Calendar. If you want to test this week, post your Google Calendar. There is no, everything, remember, is for feedback, not for failure. This is a principle I want you guys to adopt already in anything that you post inside my program. You don't post thinking of what others do. You don't post thinking of like, is it gonna be perfect? Am I failing? Am I succeeding? You don't post about that. You post for feedback. If every time is a feedback, it's like we strategize, we execute. If you don't execute well, we need to see why it doesn't execute. We need to go back. We need to make easier. If you execute, can be a positive or a negative outcome. And so we need feedback. And of course, what we have less of is time. And if we don't even do the things that we're supposed to do, then we waste more time. That's quite an important point. The other one, probably, again, before we go to the last one, which is, this one is dear to my heart again, step out of the comfort zone. I don't see many people going live. I don't see people like, if these are the shit that scares you, imagine real life. It's like, imagine when like I said, one of the call I said, go and run, because when you run, you feel like you have no more air. And when you get to the point that you feel like you're gonna die, just thinking to yourself, let me go 30 seconds more. Let's see what happens. Nothing really is gonna happen. So you step out of your comfort zone. And if you can do 30 seconds, it's like, oh, I'm getting here. Let's more do 30 seconds. Like next thing you know, it's like you get like 2-3 minutes more, and you realize that you can push yourself more. So get uncomfortable, whatever scares you. And it could be, we have Lamis here. Like, remember when I met you, like, remember when you went to take your CV and you said, I'm scared because I don't speak the language. And it's like, but I mean, nobody cares. Imagine how many people in Poland like don't speak the language there. And it's like, step out of the comfort zone. This week, if you want to do something, choose whatever, go on the group, post about something that scares you that you did. Like, it could be height, it could be dogs. I made my example with dogs all the time. And just these things needs to be something like how you overcome the fear. It's like you cannot just do it once. It's like you need to put your system that blocks you all the time, and you do the uncomfortable thing all the time. If you're scared of dog, you try to get closer to dogs all the time. And it's not easy. I'm telling you, it's not like, because for something that might be somebody that loves dog is like, and you can understand how can I be scared, for example, right? But if I had a bad experience, I'm technically gonna be scared. And the last thing, which is the hardest one, and this is why I think like you need support, whether it's from a coach, whether it's from your peer, whether it's from the family, stop defaulting. And what I mean is like that you'll see this all the time. You see people succeeding in a 1 month, 3 months, 6 months range, even a year, only to fall back into the old habits. Like, because those are more comfortable. And again, it's connected with a comfort zone, but it's like you go back with old habits. And sometimes I'm asking, it's like, what really made you stop the diet? I don't know. It's like people cannot point out what they did, which is crazy to me. And again, that of course require more introspection. You need to think on why it happens, and when you have support and you can speak about it, it's just like it's easier. You need to, in my opinion, share whether this is something more private or psychological or physiological, but it's definitely something that helps. So really, two tasks only: post your plan and post something that really make you scared or make you uncomfortable. Let's say scared. No. When do you know if what you're doing that is scary, it's helpful or not? When whatever scares you, or an uncomfortable position doesn't hurt you. So if you go and walk barefooted on some, the stone, with a fire and shit, it's like that's obviously what prevents you from that. That's really gonna hurt you, right? But when you go into a sauna, and technically you stay, instead of 10 minutes, you stay 15, you're gonna get really uncomfortable. You're gonna push your body into a different, very difficult position. But if you're not sick and if you don't have any heart problems or whatever, that's gonna be beneficial. But for the moment, you're gonna suffer. You're gonna be like, I'm really uncomfortable, right? And if after the thing you're watching today is like, Jerry, I think like I rather not get in shape. I rather just, I don't really, if I have to do all this sacrifice, I don't really care. Then it's good because I just saved you. I just freed you from all this BS, like podcast, webinar, seminars. And it's like, because people think like, I'm going to read this and I'm doing the work. No, like doing the work is actually doing the work. Doing the work is actually cutting the food that you cannot do. Doing the work is going to the walk that you don't want to go. Doing the work is like doing those uncomfortable things that you said you're gonna do, but you don't do. And then you hear something, hoping that there is something better. So if you don't want that, that's great, because I just add you maybe 20 to 40 hours to your week that you can finally spend doing something you care with your friends, family, parents, whatever the case is. But if you instead want to stop wasting and like really focusing on like the work, and again, I don't speak to you 6 or 7 here. I speak to everybody watching, and a lot of watching are going to do the work already, but a lot of not, is because like really focus on the thing that makes sense. And all the 3 or 4 things mentally that we talked about today are usually the biggest needle mover. Comfort zone, don't default, focus, and plan. And of course, the other one that I said in the beginning, you need to commit and have a strong why. Does anybody have any question or anything you want to share? Because before we go into the second part of the call, I want to be able to answer 2 questions related to this mindset, or any idea, any suggestion you have based on your experience. Go ahead if you want and unmute. If not, all good.
Yeah, I do have a question. Regarding the posting our plan or schedule, you want us to post what we do or what we would like to do? What exactly is that?
So you want to be able to plan, because this is something that we talked when Cecilia was here, like the lady that won the bodybuilding contest, and everybody somehow looked up to her, and including myself. I said, one thing that obviously I'm really jealous about or envious about, where do you find the time to go and walk 2 hours a day, right? And which is basically like 25,000 steps. That's more or less. It's literally like you need to make that time, right? And she's like, I'm scheduling everything as I supposed to. Now, whether she just write it down or not, she knows that in the morning she wakes up, and one of the things that she does before or after the breakfast is like 30 minutes to go to the dog walking, right? Then another in the afternoon is going to be another hour. Then maybe she has a job that she's standing. And again, obviously you don't want to plan that, but there are let me see if I have an example inside the at least one version of the website, because I know that there was in at least in one of the versions, because now I'm doing the other one that you guys are consuming much more efficiently, so that you don't have to like go crazy with kind of like with really taking a lot of time consuming stuff. So I want to make it more efficient. This one, which is basically the first version of the foundation, he has the phase 0, which is the mindset, right? As you see here, this is a decent example of what the plan should look like. Of course, you don't want to necessarily copy this. Like it's all good if you just go on the Google Calendar or whatever calendar that you use for your work, and you just add in, learn. This block here is gonna be to learn something, right? This block here is gonna be to meal prep, workout, and this allows you to be accountable to yourself in what is it that you do, because when you write stuff down and when you really plan, then you have no excuses. Like if you don't do it, that's all good, but at least you know when you lose yourself. Because one thing you don't really sometimes, and in the past, when the second chance, we used to do a lot of this, is like reflecting on Saturday of what you have done good during the week, planning on Sunday for the whole week, right? And what I mean by creating space is like 10, 20 minutes in the morning when you wake up and you're like, sometimes I just use it for me to, let's say, meditate a little bit. And even if it's just watching up the roof, and it's like really for yourself, like building that bubble, then when you wake up, you don't get all this constant like watching the phone or like watching the email and get like, because that's really like what really, at least to me, what used to mess me up a lot is like I get really brain fog already in the morning, and then like as the day goes by, like I'm supposed to do calls and they're not good, and it's like I really truly believe there is a lot of planning, and I definitely don't need to plan my workouts anymore. I know one day yes, one day no, maybe two yes. And I know my recovery now, but a lot of you, I know that you're not really clear on that. And again, whether it's on the house or in the gym, you just put gym and house workout those days that you can, and then you're gonna do your best to respect it. If you don't, that's fine. But at least like you treat, is about prioritizing your health much like you're doing in your job. And I know in your case, it's like, I think you have your own company, so I know exactly that we're kind of on the same boat. But even if you are a person that works for somebody, you know that you're going to go to work maybe like from 9 to 5. And so the hours that you have to play is really after 5, or maybe early morning if you wake up really early, or maybe you have some time that you work from the house. So you want to really be with those hours that you have, treating that time wisely. And because you don't want to get to the fact that, oh, I have no time. It's like everybody has the same time, more or less. The thing is that, of course, if you work for those of you, and I know some of you are working really like travel 300 days a year. We have a few examples. I mean, that becomes tough. It's like, then it's like we need to kind of do our best. But does this answer the question? It's like, I really want something that reflects whatever you want. And if you're totally fine, like I already know in my mind what I'm doing, that's also good. But at least to have some inputs, I think that would help a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. That answer.
Any other question, any thought or anything? Good, all good? All good with was this helpful? Was it? Yes? I hope. I know it's gonna be helpful for those that are seeing the replay for sure. I mean, for those that wanna hear. But anyway, all of you good being here, like you